Okay, here we are, JP's Ponderings, and this is a topic that's dear to my heart because it's something that I don't think we do in society enough, and that is giving honest feedback. Now, it sounds so simple. Just give some honest feedback, but when you give some people honest feedback, they look at you in disgust because they're not ready. And like that movie, you can't handle the truth. Well, some people can't actually handle the truth. And recently, I'll say he's a friend of mine, was in a supermarket, one of my supermarkets, and was sending footage back that was really not portraying the supermarket in a good light. In fact, the footage he was sending back was really bad. And he was in the supermarket. It was about 3 p.m. on a Sunday, I think it was. And the footage was of some fruit that was a little bit moldy, some ends that are meant to be full of stock that were absolutely empty. And it made me wonder, because this is someone that has no idea about supermarkets, but he definitely knows a thing or two about business. And he is in there giving me feedback that when I first looked at it, I was definitely embarrassed. I was ashamed. And in fact, I didn't want to see it. But it is one of those things that I love getting feedback, whether it's good or bad, from our customers, because I can tell you, people are pretty quick to give us feedback when things are wrong and a little bit slower to give us feedback when things are great. But when we're looking at this feedback, I was like, wow, this is really bad. And as a customer's point of view, which is what his point of view was, which is what all of our decisions are about. They're about the customer's point of view. He didn't quite know what was right. He's not a supermarket expert, but we all know when there's watermelon there that looks like it shouldn't be on shelf, you know what it's like. If there's avocados that are marked up far too much and they're soft, you know that that's not right. And when you're seeing empty shelves, now you don't know why they're empty, other than they're empty, but it's something sits in the customer's mind to say, this store doesn't look right. And that's exactly what he did. And guess what? He was exactly right, because it didn't look right because it wasn't. And when I looked into this, I was like, when I started thinking about how can I take this feedback and make sure we're not in that same situation. Yes, we have supervisors out and about, and in our stores, probably, when you get to these times of day that are a little bit later in the day, it's no excuse, but you might not have the senior management team on board. You might not have a supervisor floating around on a Sunday afternoon. These are critical times where you must make sure that everyone in that store knows the difference between right and wrong. So that's what happened. And what did we do about it? So first of all, I sent the footage to the state manager in Queensland. He then in turn went on to the supervisor, and evidently, there were some reasons in place which weren't good enough, because you shouldn't be able to purchase mouldy fruit and veg at any time of the day. Unfortunately, it does happen every now and then. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when we looked at the reasons why, what actually happened what were the problems with giving the honest feedback? And this is pretty easy for us because it's straight footage. It's a lot easier. When people that have pride in their job sometimes don't like being told directly that that's not good enough, because it's a good thing. I think they take pride in their own job, so they are trying to do their best, and they don't exactly want to get told that that's right or wrong. So when you actually deliver direct honest feedback, someone's got to take it in, and you've got to make sure that you've picked the right time and moment to do that in this day and age. You've got to make sure that you're being empathetic when you're delivering that feedback. And do you have any suggestions as well? So there's 3 things that you could possibly do to help with the direct feedback and the direct honest feedback. 3 simple things. But for me, getting the honest feedback is critical. And let's face it, if someone's going out of their way to film, take photos, or send an email in, or come and speak to you verbally about it, then they have gone out of their way because it's not right. And as a business, this is the most critical information that we could have to make sure we can improve our business so this doesn't happen again. Now, fresh food sometimes does break down by the time it's put out in the morning to the afternoon. So what do? Well, you should have checks in between. We should be at least checking the case every hour, especially in the fruit and veg department. How we have empty shelves and have empty ends. So what do? Well, we shouldn't have empty ends. And quite frankly, that was addressed with because no one had actually put stock out there because it actually sold. I understand you have empty shelves every now and then, and we can't keep 20,000 products fully stocked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do our best to try, but it's almost impossible. But having empty ends that have clearly been empty for a while, they are the problem. So that was because the team had taken their eye off the ball. So when we're delivering this feedback, we need to make sure that there are many things in place for our business so this doesn't continue to happen. And for me, we got to sort of go back and have a look at why are we in a society now that has problem delivering direct, honest feedback. Now, I can speak about this with my children. Now, if you tell them without any explanation of what they're doing wrong, they seem to not take it in a bit well. Now, I can understand that. For me, when my boss, and yes, I do have a boss, believe it or not, tells me I'm doing something wrong, he's of the old school, I can take that and go, okay, I can deal with that. But now I'm lucky enough to be working with many young individuals way under the age of myself. They want to be told, well, okay, first of all, I got to tick these boxes, right? First of all, I got to make sure that I'm being empathetic. Second of all, I have to make sure that they are in a position where they're ready to take on the feedback. Third of all, I need to be supplying some information about how we can make sure that we can improve on this to make it better. It's easy for me to say, I don't like this, and I say it all the time, but I'm not quite sure what I do like. Now, that's easy because anyone can give that sort of feedback. I give that feedback all the time. I just expect people to read my mind. And I can't believe people don't read my mind all the time. It really makes things difficult when they're not reading my mind. But you just need to make sure you have all these things in place now. And it's a bit different. Yeah, okay, it's a bit different. Do I do the same tactic that I do with Jack, that I do with Gemma, that I do with Bob? No, I don't. It's a tactic that you mix up depending on who you're speaking to and about what you're speaking about. In this case, we're talking about operational things. They can be addressed very quickly in the business and they can be addressed and easily fixed so this doesn't let the team down in the future. So I know that those steps in place, we can do that. When you're delivering these messages, you need to make sure that your body language is there where it's receptive. It's not like the arms folded sort of routine that you might have seen in the old days where the boss is sitting standing over. That tactic doesn't work anymore. And in fact, we have a far more collaborative effort in this day and age than we used to back in my day, where you just got told to do it. And guess what? Funny enough, you did it. Who would have thought that you would just do that job because it had to be done? It's a little bit different. And what I'm saying from this is giving that honest, direct feedback is crucial for making sure people understand that this is the way that we do it. Yes, you do have to be a little bit more delicate in the way that it's delivered. So dealing with team members when you're giving direct, honest feedback, there are a couple of things that you need to make sure. And one is probably the most important one, the one I haven't mentioned yet, is to make sure you don't make it personal. It's never about having a go at someone for getting something right or wrong. I encourage people to try things in our business, and if they get it wrong, so be it. They get it wrong. It's more about making sure that, hey, this is what the business expects. This has nothing to personally do with you. So it's really about making sure that the intent of the feedback isn't hammering someone to a cross. It's really about the best for the business. So, for instance, in this case, it's about making sure we do not have rotten, fresh food on show. And there's nothing worse than taking something home where you can't eat it either once you purchase for it. And it's also, we should know that we can fix having empty shelves as well. So this is for the best of the business. The more sales that go through the tills, the more wages that we can spend, the more people are actually going to work. So we need to make sure you clarify it's not a personal attack. It's actually for the best of the business. So that intent for the feedback needs to be clear and concise. And I don't know if I really love the saying, but the hamburger effect is start off with something a bit soft, then fill it with some meat, which is the action, then come in with a bit soft at the end. Yeah, I do like hamburgers though. So I'll take that analogy of making sure that the stuff in the middle, that's the important stuff. How you wrap up that conversation. You just need to make sure that you are being empathetic to the person that you are speaking to. And in this case, it's talking to your team. So ultimately, my management style is giving open, honest feedback. And sometimes I'm a little bit too direct in doing that. But I feel everyone needs to know where they sit. And like I keep saying, is it for the best of the business? All the things that we do, is it for the best of the business? Because if it is, it just makes you all realise you're all on the same bus going in the same direction.